Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out. This is episode 395. Greetings from Taipei. In case you didn't catch last week's show, I was in Italy with AWS, driving a Ferrari and catching an F1 practice race ahead of the Grand Prix. I'll tell you more about that shortly. And then I flew from Italy to Taiwan with a stopover in Istanbul. Man, is that airport massive. Crazy. Anyhow, so I'm here in Taiwan at a tech show, convention called Computex, which is pretty cool. It focuses primarily on computers, laptops, desktops, accessories, very big gaming focus this year, and of course, AI. And so 2 out of the 3 guests this hour are tied to either Computex or Formula One racing. So I'll tell you more about that shortly. So yeah, going to Bologna was a lot of fun, and then going to Imola, the racetrack where they were practicing ahead of the Grand Prix. We had access to a club where we had great seats to watch the race, and then we went into the pits afterwards. And as an amateur photographer, I uploaded a photo to Reddit, to a subreddit called F1 Porn, and I got over 600 upvotes on my photo. I felt pretty good at it. I had like this car racing around the track with sparks coming out of the back. I just took it on my iPhone. In fact, I didn't even have like a real camera, but it's amazing what you can do now. And before the race, I had the opportunity to drive a Ferrari on a track where they test Ferraris. We visited the Ferrari factory, had to put tape over the lens of our phone. And so it was a really fun but productive time in northern Italy. And then, so I left for Taiwan on Saturday, arrived on Sunday, 13-hour flight, good times. It's been over 20 years since I've been to Taiwan. In fact, they had just finished building the Taipei 101, one of the tallest structures in the world with one of the fastest elevators in the world. We went up to the 88th floor yesterday in just a couple of seconds. It's pretty crazy. Your ears pop. Great view of the city. Had some great local cuisine. But I really liked the tech, of course, at Computex. The president of Taiwan showed up, which is pretty wild. Lei Ching-te, if I'm saying his name right, who greeted the co-CEO of ASUS, one of the biggest computer companies in the world, based here in Taipei. His name is Samsung Hu, and the chairman was here as well, Johnny Shi. It was pretty cool to see the president just a couple of feet away from me. But you know who got even a bigger welcome to this show? People went nuts. Was Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, a multi-billionaire, I think like north of $120 billion. NVIDIA, of course, is the leader in graphics technology, graphics cards and all that for laptops and desktops. So the crowd went nuts when he showed up, and I shook his hand, which is pretty neat. So Computex. All right, so this week on the show, we're going to kick off with an interview with ASUS. It's a huge company. Visited their headquarters here as well. 16,000 employees worldwide, 5,000 of which are engineers. And then for the F1 portion, towards the end of this show, I chatted with Ruth Buscombe, who is an engineer. She's a partner with AWS, Amazon Web Services. And Ruth is also a presenter on F1 TV, the official broadcast of Formula One races. So I was able to catch up with her for about 5 minutes. We'll play that later in the show. And so those 2 interviews are going to bookend Tech It Out today. And in the middle, I'm going to interview the head of a company that has this product garnering quite a bit of buzz called Elora. It's a wellness baby monitor. And so we're going to talk with the co-founder and chief marketing officer of the company called LittleOne.Care. So a jam-packed Tech It Out for you this hour, powered by Visa. Securing the world's payments is priority 1. I'll tell you more about Visa's anti-fraud efforts shortly, but let's officially kick off a brand new show with our first interview. All right, so I'm here at Computex 2025 with Sascha Krohn. He's Director of Technical Marketing. Apologies for the ambient noise. We are here at a conference. This is as quiet as we can get. But first of all, Sascha, it's great to see you. I've seen you a few times over the past few years, but this is the first time in Taiwan. So this is really great to see you here on your home turf. How are you?
Great. Melting under the heat and the steam sauna that is Taipei in late May.
Yeah, I think that yesterday it felt like like 46 degrees
Celsius.
Yeah. Crazy. So anyhow, it's cooler inside of the Computex event building here. There's two of them. ASUS has a huge booth. The president of Taiwan was just at your booth. That's pretty cool. How's your show going so far?
It's going great. Yeah, we got a huge booth. It's the biggest we've ever had, and that tops our previous record, which was last year. We have a huge ASUS booth and a huge ROG booth. Each of them is 500 square meters, so it's insane. Got a ton of stuff, lots of cool new products.
Just to clarify to our listeners, ASUS is more consumer and business laptops and software as well. And then ROG is Republic of Gamers. That's more, as the name suggests, more for computer gamers. That's laptops, desktops, accessories, and so on. So two separate but related booths under the banner of ASUS. So I wanted to grab 5 or so minutes with you, Sascha, to ask, in your opinion, what was best of show so far from ASUS or ROG's standpoint. I'll share mine, but I'd love to hear from you. What do you think are the standout products? What are people most buzzing about here at Computex?
Well, for us, the highlight of the show is our whole gaming laptop lineup. So the stuff that we already showed at CES. We got a ton of gaming laptops, one for every different segment. We got our Strix Scar, for the full desktop replacement, super top of the line, high-end performance. We got our Zephyrus, super premium, ultra portable, all metal chassis gaming laptops. And we got our Flow devices, or a tablet, detachable, and our tough gaming laptops, which are all price performance. So we got all of these here, and brand new now is that we have 5060 options. So RTX 5060 just announced, and we have an RTX 5060 option for all of those laptops.
And that's referring to the graphics card, just
yes.
to be clear, from NVIDIA. So let's talk a bit about a desktop instead of a laptop, just to start, and that's the T500. There's a reason why I like this in particular, but maybe you could tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, so when it comes to laptops, like I said, 5060, but when it comes to desktops, yes, the T500, tough gaming desktop, that's our brand new desktop that we show here, and I'm a huge fan of it. I really like it. It's super compact. It's about 1.5 times the size of a shoebox, so it's super compact, really small. What's unique about it is it's a price performance desktop, so it's really good value. Starting price is $1099 with a 5060 Ti 8 gig version graphics card, and we also have a 5060 Ti 16 gig version for $1299 starting price. So super attractive price point. The way that we achieved that price point is we did something which I personally love. We used a mobile CPU and put it in the desktop. And I think a lot of people are going to scoff and like, why a mobile CPU in a desktop? You don't get the same performance. So the cool thing about this is usually for these kind of builds, price performance, what people would do is they buy a cheaper chip and then they overclock it to get extra performance out of it, right? And that's like you get more bang for your buck. And this is pretty much what we did with the TUF T500. So if end users could do it, I'm pretty sure they would use a mobile CPU as well that you can get for a much lower price, and then you just increase the wattage, which is basically overclocking the chip, and you get a ton more performance. So compared to competitors who also have budget gaming desktops, they use a desktop CPU, but then they use a really cheap cooler, and they can't actually get the full performance out of that desktop chip. We instead use a mobile CPU and then put a really super powerful cooler on that chip, and we double the wattage. So usually those mobile chips run at around 45 watts. We run it at 90 watts and can even go as high as 115 watts. So you get a ton of performance, and as a result, we're able to get the same performance or even higher performance than similar budget gaming desktops that use a desktop CPU. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of that TUF T500 desktop.
So you're passing the savings on to the consumer, which in this day and age with the economy top of mind for many, it sounds like there's very little trade-offs. You're getting a competent desktop with a high-end graphics card and premium cooling, as you touched on, but with a processor that was designed primarily for laptops, but you're really not seeing much of a performance hit when you're playing your favorite games. Let's then talk about laptops, whether it's an ASUS one, the A14, I know it's been around for a couple of months, but certainly a showstopper, or maybe if you want to talk about another ROG branded gaming laptop that you think people are excited about, if you have another pick from the show.
I think they're all great options. I think, yeah, that the ZenBook A14 is really impressive with its incredible low weight. There's a configuration that only weighs 899 grams, and the one that's available in the US and Canada, I think, is around 1 kilo, so 999 grams. It's crazy, beautiful OLED display, servo aluminum, super long battery life.
Over 30 hours of battery life, which is beyond crazy. Because I showed this laptop on TV during the Consumer Electronics Show. And then you were talking about Aluminum, which is that exclusive material that combines aerospace-grade aluminum with ceramic, which I talked about quite a bit from Milan last month during Design Week. So yeah, this is a beautiful laptop powered by Qualcomm in this case, right?
Correct. It's with a Qualcomm Snapdragon X chip. And yeah, the Aluminum is basically, it feels kind of like a polished sandstone. So it has a super premium feel. It's nice and grippy and smooth. Personally love it. I wish we could do it on all our laptops. Yeah, and then besides that, for our gaming laptops, if you want a 5060, an RTX 5060 gaming laptop, we got you covered. No matter what you want, like super ultra portable, if you want a big, super powerful one. So in our Strix series, our 2025 Strix laptops, the big and powerful ones, we actually have a vapor chamber on even the RTX 5060. So that's the best possible cooling solution you can have. Huge fans as well, and super quiet, super low temperature, and full performance RTX 5060. And for the more budget-minded, we now have an 18-inch TUF laptop, which is brand new. We're showing that here for the first time at Computex. So 18-inch, super screen, huge display.
That's your desktop replacement right there.
Yeah, and you'll be able to get up to an RTX 5060 in there as well. So you can really game get the best, latest DLSS 4 and play the latest titles and everything. So really interesting 18-inch price performance option.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sascha. Sascha Krohn's been our guest, Director of Technical Marketing at ASUS, here at the 2025 Computex in Taipei. Great to see you once again. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Hope to see you soon.
A high-tech baby monitor for pregnant moms, infants, and toddlers when we return on Tech It Out. Stay with us.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. We cover cybersecurity a lot on this program and how you can best protect yourself in the digital age, even if you're not super tech savvy. One part of the solution is securely shopping online. And so I'm thrilled about my partnership with Visa on Tech It Out, as they've made some significant investments in fraud prevention over the past 5 years, as much as $10 billion. Yes, that's billion with a B, to support Visa's brand promise to protect the financial information of individuals and businesses. Zero liability means peace of mind when you shop online using your Visa card. There can be no half measures when it comes to cybersecurity, which is why the company takes an aggressive and multi-layered approach to combating the rising threat of malicious software and other threats by well-funded and global criminal enterprises. Read more about Visa and how securing the world's payments is priority one at visa.com/security. That's visa.com/security. Elora is billed as the first AI-powered and radiation-free pregnancy and baby wellness monitor, optimized to track and analyze key aspects of both pregnancy and baby wellness through toddlerhood. Joining us on the line to tell us more about the Elora Baby Wellness Monitor, which is spelled ELORA, by the way, we've got on the line Ami Meoded. He's co-founder and chief marketing officer of LittleOne.Care. Those are the folks behind Elora. Welcome to the show, Ami.
Thank you for hosting me, Mark.
Before we talk about Elora, please tell us a bit about the company, LittleOne.Care. That's, I know your URL, that's your website, but that's the name of the company as well, right?
Exactly. And the company's name says everything. We do care about babies, infants, and we do that using the ability to take advantage of what AI can provide in terms of what is the sounds the baby pronounced or what is the meaning of the motion of the baby.
All right. So with that in mind, let's hear more about this AI-powered Elora baby wellness monitor. What is this solution?
Elora is actually a tiny button inspired by smartwatches that we use as adults. Adults would like to improve their own well-being. They would like to track their lifestyles. We would like to do the same in the most important 2 years of life of babies, like the first 24 months, where we track the baby's motion and surrounding sounds and cries in order to tell parents more about the engagement they have with the babies, the safety and the activities of the babies during the day and nighttime at home and outdoors. For instance, we can tell parents and map when the baby was crying, when the baby was sleeping, when the baby was playing, how many words your baby had during the last 24 hours, what was the level of engagement of any caregivers with your baby. and so on and so on, due to this AI and algorithms we developed.
All right, so it's not just for the crib, as you said, it's for outside as well. Because I've seen, baby sleepers that have sensors like temperature sensors and motion sensors, but this is something that the baby or toddler can wear at any time.
Exactly, because baby is not about just the sleeping hours. It's not about the crib. Babies have 24 hours around the day, and the impact of what you have done with your baby in the living room, how much you play with the baby, what they ate, how much they played, when did they cry, in the car, in the stroller, will impact the sleeping patterns, the quality of the activities. So we had to develop something that observed the baby 24/7.
And I was going to ask you, what do you do with this data, right? I'm assuming, by the way, because it's just a button, that it's wirelessly communicating to an app that mom or dad may have on their mobile device. But what can you do with this information that it's gleaning?
It's a very important question, Mark, because we can provide parents with highly detailed data about what had happened with the babies in terms of motion. For instance, how much your baby slept, how much time you spent in tummy time, which is very important milestone. Did you rock the baby today? The baby was in the stroller or in the car to the daycare and back? This is one aspect. On the other end, if somebody treated your baby in a rude way, for instance, shaking the shaking syndrome, if you have heard of it, we tell about that either. Or if we do not track any motion, God forbid, can alert about that. In the sounds area, we tell how much time you talk to your baby, if you sang to your baby, if somebody was screaming, or if the baby was crying or laughing, or if your baby was exposed to music. The moment you synchronize the motion and sounds, we can tell even more about the engagement with the baby, the activities that you spent with your baby. And in the future, we will even tell why the baby is crying due to the AI we developed. We didn't release this feature yet.
Okay, thanks for that, Ami. And I did mention off the top that it's also for pregnant moms as well, not just babies and toddlers. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, it's very interesting issue because in many occasions, the pregnant mom, people forget about the pregnant mom, and the whole attention is on the baby that's supposed to be, to come. Nobody really care about the mom's feelings, motion, activities, socializing. And we use the very same product in order to reflect and map to the mom and her surrounding how much she is engaging with people, what is the level of her activity, the feeding and the motion patterns, sleeping patterns, and so on. The mom used the very same product to track her own activities, and after the due date, we ask her to transfer the data, the Elora, to the baby using the very same app. You actually receive in one app the whole data during pregnancy to the first 24 months of baby's life. Very interesting data that you can see the whole journey of pregnancy and birth.
It sounds comprehensive indeed. More on the Elora Wellness Baby Monitor from LittleOne.Care with Ami when we return. So I'm going to ask him how it works exactly, who it's for, a clarification on the ages and all that. So stick with us. A lot more Tech It Out coming up after this short break. And then don't forget, we're going to hit the circuit and chat about F1 racing and technology towards the end of this show as well. We'll be right back.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. We are chatting with Ami Meoded. He is the co-founder and chief marketing officer of LittleOne.Care, the company that has produced the product called Elora Baby Wellness Monitor, now out in the market for babies even in utero and going all the way up to toddlerhood. Can you walk us a bit through how it works? Let's say, just sticking with the example of, say, I don't know, a 6-month or a 12-month-old. You put this button on them, you enable it, and then you register, and you've got access through the app. The battery, I guess, it lasts for a while. Maybe you can talk to us a little bit about the process.
Well, after you register to the app, in the app, there is a process that tells you how to activate the button, the Elora. And the use of the Elora and the battery is for 24 hours. And anytime you you take your baby to a bath or, for instance, skin to skin, it's a very good period of time to recharge the Elora and we use the time that you recharge it in the docking station to upload the data and to update your application with what had happened during the last 24 hours. I will give you another scenario of a use case. The moment you tap on the Elora, on the button, when the button is with your baby, when you tap the Elora, there is another feature that enables you to talk to the Elora and say, oh, I just changed a diaper. We actually trying to train you to talk to your baby and to describe what is going on around the baby as much as you can. But the moment you said that simple sentence, oh, we just changed a diaper, or we had carrot first time, or grandma just show up, we actually enable you to run speech to text baby diary without the need to open the app or to open the baby diary and tap in anything that you have done. For the very first time, you have one app that will track your baby's patterns of crying, feeding, sleeping, playing, talking, side by side with diaper changes, feeding, and different kind of activities.
What max age do you recommend? Is it 2 or 3?
The current version of our software is for the first 24 months, which are very crucial for the baby's development. In the future, I would love to believe that we will release more versions that will track the connection between your activity with your toddler to the vocabulary and what they speak.
And as you said, it's not just for a crib where you're not with your baby and you may want some extra information about how they're breathing, position they're lying in, but it's also when they're out of the house as well, or they've got a babysitter. This is some information that could be very useful if it's not too much information. You know, it's funny, when my kids were little, we just had an audio-based baby monitor. And then now there's, of course, video baby monitors. And then now there are sensors that can monitor temperature. And, you know, how much is too much? Some parents may feel like neurotic about their child's wellness when they're not with them. Do you know what I mean?
Mark, it is a very important issue. We designed our app and our reports that we produce while understanding how sensitive it will be to provide parents with a lot of data. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter how much things happening if you cannot do something about that. That's why we called our reports Call to Action Insights. We will present you how many words your baby heard today, just because you can talk more the next day or sing more the next day. We will show you what is the air quality around your baby, just to tell you that you don't need to go to this specific mall or go to that road the next day, or how much active was your baby this day and you can do better the weekend. We will not present you with data that will make you frustrated, because it's all about what you can do as a caregiver or parents in the first 24 months of time that are very crucial to achieve the best from your baby's development.
It could be ironic that you want peace of mind, but this in turn can make you more anxious because it's more data. I guess as a parent, you really want to know what's going on, not just from a health perspective, but as you said, like education, like learning, vocabulary. And I did bring up a couple of times these sleepers that can monitor like air quality and temperature and all that. Just confirming, the Elora, it's got a microphone to hear sounds and it's got a motion sensors, but it's not meant to measure temperature. I just don't want to mislead anyone.
We do not track any temperature. Okay. We listen and map the sounds. We do not even record them in order to enable you to listen to something that somebody said. It's not something we do. We just listen in order to map if it was a cry or laughter or speaking about air quality around your baby and the motion, the accelerations of your baby.
How are you measuring air quality?
Well, we use the very same UI that any average American receive every morning when you track the air quality.
Oh, yeah, like AQI. Got it.
Even the very same UI, because we didn't want to create a new terminology that you don't have.
Just if you can elaborate a bit more, please, on the AI, how this device, or maybe it's the software in the app that's leveraging the data collected by this wearable Elora button, what kind of actionable insights can it provide?
I will try to describe something very interesting, Mark. AI is a massive market and technology. What do we do actually is combination of two important aspects of AI. The algorithms that anytime you put the Elora in the docking station, we actually update them. There is no day that beside of uploading the data that we do not update the algorithms that you use in your Elora, because it's ongoing process where we always improve the accuracy, the diversity, and our ability to understand the secret world of babies, but this is only one aspect. We work very hard on it since 2020, and it's rapidly improving the process of the algorithms we develop and use. The other sides of it's even more interesting, although some people will say it's boring. The data. When you use the Elora, you actually synchronize the sounds of your baby and the surrounding with the belly's motion of your baby. It sounds naive, but it's very interesting and unique data. I will explain. Let's assume that we recognize that your baby cried now, but the sound sensor recognized that it might be a cry. But a couple of minutes later, it was very quiet around your baby. The belly goes up and down, no other activities, no other acceleration. And for the next 2 hours, nothing is happening, which means that we can assume that the baby is asleep. So besides having this data, we have something even more interesting. We can tell that this specific cry is actually a presentation of tiredness. So we can tag this data and say, okay, in this specific baby, this sounds it's a tiredness sound, and it's not just a cry, random cry. And so on, when the baby is crying and then you decided to feed your baby, or the baby was crying and you changed the diaper. We're doing that in order to understand even what is a pain from the baby's point of view. So many things that we do in order to learn more and more about these tiny things that happens in between the babies and themselves. Sometimes you don't have to be around to give us the ability to understand better what is going on with your baby's life journey.
A few more minutes about the Elora Wellness Baby Monitor when we return on Tech It Out.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Tech It Out. We are chatting with Ami Meoded. He is the co-founder and chief marketing officer of LittleOne.Care. They're the folks behind the Elora Baby Wellness Monitor. Elora is spelled E-L-O-R-A. It's for babies even in utero all the way up to 2 years old, toddlerhood. We're learning what this can do for parents and babies. Now, Ami, before the break, we were starting to talk about AI. It's a big buzzword, but you were explaining how it could be leveraged to determine the wellness and health of your baby. Please continue your thought.
The interesting thing is that the moment, for instance, you use the Elora for 6 months, and we generated data, we collected the data, and we actually generated the insights. The moment we run the algorithms, the new algorithms, the most developed algorithms, you can go back and see more accurate data 6 months earlier, 7 months earlier, 1 year earlier. So the data nowadays is not less important than the algorithms that we present.
Okay. And you're not comparing data from your child to other children, right? Like for milestones, like talking.
It's a very important question, and I will answer it in 2 ways. One, we do not present any data that you cannot do something about it. For instance, let's assume that the personality of your baby is a baby that cries a lot. What you can do about that? Will you replace it? No, you cannot. We do not want to lead to frustration. It's irrelevant. I would like to present you information that you can do something about this. By saying that, in the coming future, and it's part of our vision, we would like to enable parents with a very interesting information that we call wisdom of babies. The moment we will have 100,000 babies, we will ask parents for more information if they want to share, because we use a strict privacy policy. And the information we're going to ask them is, for instance, what type of baby formula, what brand you use of baby formula, what is the brand of your car seats, for instance. Why do we ask? Because we would like to provide you and future parents more information about what is the user experience of the baby with these products and services. And if we will be able to say, for instance, that 600, 700 babies use this baby formula, and God forbid, I don't know why, these babies are crying, and it's a war to feed them. They don't sleep well. They don't like to play. But the other brand, I have no idea why. I cannot explain why. But this baby formula, they like it. They eat. They sleep. Everybody happy. In these car seats, the babies are crying. It's very hard to drive. On the other car seat, 10 minutes, the average baby falls asleep. We will be able to present for the very first time what is the user experience of babies, because nowadays the babies are not part of the decision making when you purchase for them stuff, toys, goods, books, and it's a $400 billion market worldwide. So it's very easy to use several thousand babies to tell the other world, the whole parents, what is going on there. Because nowadays, most of the decisions are by what is going on in TikTok or Instagram, and the influencers tells you what is good for your baby. I think we can do better.
That's a great place to end off. Can you please tell us how much Elora costs, and is there a subscription on top of the core cost?
The current model is $300 in the US. There is no subscription right now. In the future, I believe that we will have different models, but right now this is the only model we have. You purchase the Elora, you use the app, no other expenses.
Okay, and what's the best website?
LittleOne.Care, the company's website. You can learn more about the features, the app, and purchase the product.
All right, LittleOne.Care. And what does that mean, Elora?
Oh my goodness, Elora is the name of the very first baby who practiced and used the Elora during the early adopter program we ran a while ago. This baby girl used the product for a year. And we wanted to have initial EL for the name, and it's happened, the very same girl, because we wanted EL as initial because of the term elephant. We believe, we see in the elephant, which is our logo, a family. Yeah, it's a family and of very strong animals that live in communities, very sensitive one to other, protective family that listen from distance and very sensitive to each, with a very good memory. And we use the behavior of the elephants to develop a technology that you do the same for people. And Elora is over that girl. Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you for asking this interesting question.
Thank you so much for your time, Ami.
Thank you, Mark, for hosting me. It was lovely to talk to you.
When we return on Tech It Out, as promised, we're going to play the second F1 related interview. We started this last week. I was in Italy attending a Formula One practice race ahead of the Grand Prix. So we're going to play an interview with Ruth Buscombe. She is an F1 presenter on TV, but not just that. She's an engineer. She's partnered with Amazon Web Services to study telemetry on race cars with one of the Ferrari teams. Pretty wild stuff. Hey, if you want to reach out on social media to let me know what you think of the show, if you've got any suggestions for upcoming guests or topics, would love to hear from you. I'm on X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and a few others. It's Mark Saltzman, MarkSaltzman. Mark with a C, Saltzman with a Z. I always love hearing from Tech It Out listeners. Be sure to let me know where you're tuning into the show from, what city. Maybe you've got a favorite talk radio station there, or you're listening in on podcast form. Tech It Out is powered by Visa. Securing the world's payments is priority one. Head on over to visa.com/security to learn more. Speaking of security, don't forget to also back up your important files on a regular basis. SanDisk is also an awesome partner of mine on this show. For full transparency, being on the road for almost 2 weeks, first Italy and now in Taiwan, I'm always backing up things just in case something happens to my laptop. So I've got a little SanDisk flash drive sticking out of the side of my laptop. But SanDisk is not just about backup, as we heard with last week's interview, about gaming. For all the major consoles and PCs, you can also game right off of these expandable storage solutions. Love it. SanDisk.com has more. All right, we get to more F1 racing when we return on Tech It Out.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
I'm here with Ruth Buscombe, Formula One race strategist and presenter for F1 TV for about a year now. Congrats. Ruth is also an AWS Motorsports ambassador and technical advisor and self-professed data nerd. Love it. Speaking of data, you said you've been covering F1 for a long time as an engineer, working with different teams. But I believe you said to us that AI, machine learning, data analysis has probably been one of the most significant changes in the sport.
Yeah, I think certainly in my time, I can't speak for the first 50 or 60 years of Formula One. But in my 15 years in the sport, the onset in my world of race strategy and geeking out of data, Gen AI is such a cool tool that's enabling us to do more with less. I mean, it's slightly annoying because now you're able to produce kind of data sets that would take you reams of weeks to do, but also very cool to know that you actually have this kind of whole new suite of tools at your fingertips, and you don't need to have hordes and hordes of kind of resource to be able to access it.
And the benefits, I guess, are twofold. It's for the racers themselves, like the teams, the drivers, as well as for fan engagement. You're talking F1. Data is bliss, not ignorance is bliss. So first, for the teams, they want to know how to shave off these little milliseconds. And so with your work that you do with AWS and prior to that, how do you help those folks? And then we'll talk about fan engagement. How does AI and data help? How does AWS help empower these teams?
So AWS works with Scuderia Ferrari. They're their team partner, and just like any partner, what they're there is to help them do their job marginally better. Obviously, we don't talk about secrets of what teams are doing, but if you look at some of the ways in which Formula One races have been decided in the last season, we saw a really great victory by Charles Leclerc of Scuderia Ferrari last year in the Italian Grand Prix in Monza, and the team credited their ability to model the tires, actually with working with their technical partner to be able to predict the new tarmac effect and the high track temperatures marginally better than their competitors, which is all you need in Formula One, right. Where they predicted that it'd be a one-stop race. They were correct, and their competitors did the two-stopper.
So there are several sensors on every F1 vehicle, including near or on the tires, that give real-time information, including when is the optimal time to replace the tires. That's just one of many several thousand things, right? Is that an example? Like when you say tires, it's when to change them, or the right tires for the right track, the right asphalt, and so on?
Yeah, I wish it was that easy. It's a lot more complicated than that. But in terms of basically predicting the difference between correlation and causality, in terms of trying to predict slightly better than your competitor how a million-degree freedom system that's highly nonlinear is going to behave.
Yeah, and as a fan, tech is changing how we're watching the games. We're now streaming, multiple camera angles in many cases, various audio tracks you can choose from. Talk about, please, how AWS is allowing F1 fans from around the world to be better engaged with the sport.
So we have, as Formula One, about 750 million viewers every season. That's about 1 in 8 people on Earth watching Formula One. And a lot of what we do is really technical. It's really data. We've got probably a 5-kilometer, 3-mile track on average. So it's really important that we bring the numbers to life. It's really important that we show the story, not just through images, but through data. And AWS is able to do that with their insights. In Formula One, we're able to extract key data points. We're able to predict when battles might be able to happen on track, predict when overtakes are going to be happen, predict pit battles. We're able to extract key stats that help to understand the significance of the racing incidents you're seeing on screen, and also highlight when teams make errors, when drivers make errors, and exactly where and how they're losing time.
Do we see, those ghosting videos where you're watching a race in real time, perhaps, or even if it's a replay, and then they're overlaying it with previous races, like what that driver did at that exact track, at that exact turn? Does AWS help with things like that? Because as a visual learner, I like seeing that kind of data.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of different ways in which Formula One works with AWS to bring the most exciting action on time, working together, not just bringing the insights that you see on screen, but also helping with the actual broadcast itself and helping the race director spot what's going on behind the scenes.
I'm sure the predictive part is helpful too, so they can anticipate an overtake and so on. Thank you, Ruth. Great to grab a couple of minutes with you. Once again, that was Ruth Buscombe, a distinguished Formula One strategist who transitioned from aerospace engineering to becoming a leading strategist for top Formula One teams and partnering with AWS, and more recently, for the past year or so, working as a presenter on TV for F1, which is pretty cool. Funny, we did that interview and then we went back to the club that we were sitting in to watch the race, and then I hear her voice again and I look up and she's on TV standing in the pit talking to one of the drivers, which was pretty cool. Wow, what an international show this week. Formula One racing from Italy, Computex from Taiwan, and the Elora Wellness Baby Monitor now out in the US. So hey, I hope you enjoyed the program. Let me know on social media. It's Mark Saltzman, Mark with a C, Saltzman with a Z. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I look forward to catching up with you next weekend for another brand new episode of Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now. Ciao.